Hello, everybody. Welcome back here to the Sam Houston Sports Talk podcast, episode 10. Luke Scott here. I'm not taking over for Collin. Collin's still, the guy. I'm just doing the intro right now.
Yeah,
But episode 10,
you're taking my job, man. Come on.
I'm not trying to, Collin. I just wanted to do it one time.
You did ask nicely, so I went ahead and let you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, this time we're talking a little soccer. Collin, women's soccer season is opening up here in a few days. They already, won their scrimmage there against Texas Southern down in Houston, and now we're fixing to get ready for the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Soccer is always the first sign that Sam Houston Bearcat athletics is back, and then volleyball follows it, and then it's football. But we now focus on the European football. It's women's soccer, baby, and the Bearcats this year in Sonia Curvelo's third season at the helm. I have I have high expectations for this team this year, especially with the transfer class they brought in, and the recruits are not looking too bad either. But they return a lot of their production. Luke, you remember whenever we did Behind the Mic on 90.5, I said that I was pretty high on them. I said that they were going to surprise a lot of people last year in 2023, and guess what? They went all the way to the Conference USA semifinals, and they lost a heartbreaker there against New Mexico State, but I think that was just a sign of things to come. I think they have a real shot of competing for the Conference USA Championship this year.
Yeah, I think so too, Collin, and we'll get into more about that. But obviously, we've talked a little about head coach Sonia Curvelo. Uh, what a great addition she's been since joining here at Sam Houston from Prairie View A&M a few years ago, and she had such a different start and unique start. Most coaches, get a full-on off season and even get a little bit more time before that, knowing that they're going to come and go to a different school, right? And not Coach Curvelo. She kind of just got thrown into this opportunity, and Collin, she's made the most of it.
Well, the previous coach retired, or not retired, just like stepped down. I guess I don't know what exactly happened there, but it all happened pretty swiftly, and Sam Houston was put into a bit of a spot where they had to get somebody, and I think they got the right person in Coach Curvelo. And albeit Luke, like you said, did not have a lot of time to do her own kind of recruiting, especially with the portal. I mean, she wasn't able to bring in I guess the people that she wanted. She still had to deal with a lot of the players that were on the roster before she came, and she managed. She was able to get an impressive first win of her Bearcat coaching career over the Louisiana Tech Lady Texters, which are now conference mates with right now. And I was there. I called the game for 90.5 for that first game. And when I was calling that game, Luke, I'm right beside the Bearcat bench, so I got to see up close and personal what Curvelo is all about. And I've said to you, she's no nonsense. She really cares about the tactics being executed to her standard, and that is just what she wants. She doesn't want any lackadaisical effort, and a lot of the main thing actually, Luke, is that she wants her defense to be on point. I mean, goals obviously matter, but as we'll get into later, she really cares about preventing goals. And I mean, in a sense, Luke, preventing a goal is almost as good as scoring a goal.
Scoring wins you, but defending keeps you in games, right? That's kind of what they've always said, and um, you know, pivoting off that. We're returning a lot of good players that we've had in previous, not just the year before, but I'm talking, some 2, 3 year veterans, all up and down the pitch, talking from the goaltender all the way up to the striker. Colin, we have returning players and, good experience everywhere on the pitch.
Yes, I mean, starting at goal, you got Savannah Hall, who's coming back. She had a bit of a rough start at the beginning. Of course, I mean, the whole team had a kind of a rough start at the beginning of last year, but they were still ended up winning 6 games. They went 6-7-4, and overall in 3-3-2 in conference. And Hall got better as the year went on. Then you also return Andrea Nugent, the Prairie View A&M transfer, and you also bring back Alessandra Maldonado, who was one of the best outside backs in the conference, in my opinion. And She's bound to get better. She's coming into a junior year. I mean, her freshman year was very impressive. She kind of had a bit of a rough going her sophomore year, but that's expected when it comes to any sport in college. Is that sophomore year is always going to be your hardest, and then you keep on moving up. You got Dana Hansen coming back, who moves up and down the pitch and plays nearly every single minute. I mean, you hardly ever see her off the field. Then you keep moving up. You get Landry Townsend back, Pam Murray back, Tiana Johnson back, uh, and some other names to say: Jasmine Marquez, Jasmine Dybala. I mean, you still return a lot of the core from last year, and they have a lot of experience. They have a lot more knowledge about what Sonia Curvelo's tactics are, what she wants to put out on the field. So, I mean, it's a recipe for success right now, and you also bring in some good transfers.
Yeah, yeah, you're retaining three of your top five goal scorers from last year, and it's one of the first off seasons where your Coach Curvelo, goes after some of her girls that she wants, right, and some of the athletes that she's been looking at. And I'm sure she knows has been hitting the transfer portal, and you got grab a few key additions, not just on the back end, but also in the midfield, right? You still won from SFA there, and Gabrielle Gibson, and she seems to be one of these members for the team that's going to need ask a lot out of her, and playing in a more defensive role. She's going to have quite the task this year.
Yeah, and she's going to be facing her former team to start out the season. We'll get more into the schedule of the season later on, but she brings height as well, and she also brings a lot of minutes. She played quite a lot when she was at SFA, and I think that's what Corella wants. I don't think she wants to sub too much, because sometimes if you sub a player out who's starting to do pretty good, you sub her out because she has to like take a break for a few minutes, because remember, this isn't soccer like professionals, that you can do as many subs as you want and they can come back in whatever they want.
Yeah, and especially when you're able to sub as much as you are in collegiate soccer, you want experience all up and down your entire depth chart, right? You want players that have played in big games all across the country, and we've had that. A lot of these players, and it sounds rather elementary, but it's good when you have players not just from one state, right? Not just from one league. We have transfers that come from all over the country that are, more adapt to playing different types of ball, right? You're playing different types of teams and styles, and that kind of hybrid that you can keep on your team and set a unique chemistry. That's pretty huge, and it's not like either one of us are huge soccer fanatics, uh, so it's not like we really understand. I mean, we understand soccer, but we're not the biggest, I don't know, experts in it. Uh, but we certainly do love watching the Bearcats play.
I mean, it is quite a beautiful game. I mean, I always catch myself on an early Saturday morning watching a Premier League game, or sometimes a La Liga, sometimes a Serie A. I mean, I'll catch the Dynamo locally here in Houston every now and then. But what what Cavrello has done is she's really got Bearcat women's soccer. Like, she's getting the popularity up a little bit. I mean, the promotion nights that they're doing throughout the season is very genius, especially with the first one against SFA. It's gonna be youth night. Every kid that wears a youth jersey to the game, they get free admission. I forgot what the other second half of that promotion is about, but I digress. What Carvello has not just turned this program around when it comes to on the field production, but how it's looked upon off the field. It's starting to become a very popular program to watch, especially among Bearcats on campus. I mean, we see it on Twitter sometimes too. They get talked about on the Twitter sphere or the X sphere, whichever one you want to call it. And I mean, I'm just happy they're getting the attention they need, because I've been high on the program for a couple of years now, especially since
Yeah,
Carvello got in. So I mean,
yeah,
I'm pretty happy to see where they're at right now.
I am too. And one of those things that we talked about very early on uh, with the team's marketing. You see the Sam Houston soccer, women's soccer page, not just on Instagram, but X. I believe I'm not on Facebook, but I believe they have a Facebook. All over campus, they are always promoting themselves, putting content out there, really separating themselves uh, from other, you know, teams at this school where you don't see that much content out of, let's just say, baseball, soft, doesn't really matter, basketball, any of them, tennis. You don't see as much content on social media pages like you do with soccer, and that's what's really helped them. It's been gaining them, a bigger following every year. You go out to Pritchett, and there's more and more fans. Uh, so, kudos to them for that. But yeah, you're right. The way this team, as my dog is howling in the background, this team has progressed every year after year. It seems like they've gotten better. And you talk about being a tournament team in the Southland making tournament, in the WAC making a huge run all the way to the final and coming up short just last year, making a run to the conference semifinal. So this is a team that, uh, while the history of in the regular season's been mediocre, most times, in the postseason, we for some reason I've always seemed to kick it up to another level.
It's like what I talked about. I'm actually gonna get to that point later on because we got to finish talking about the transfers because we kind of got a little bit sidetracked. Another transfer that came in from Sam Houston's a goalkeeper, a transfer from UC Riverside, Cassie Sousa. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Luke, you made the note of her in the article that released when the signing was made official about Cassie's what not only she can bring physically on the field, but also mentally for the whole squad.
Yeah, Cassie Souza, she's the goalie, right, from UC Riverside. Collin, she used to captain at UC Riverside. She was, the voice out there on the pitch for the team. So, we say Savannah Hall, she's, was the projected starter. There might be a little bit of a battle there, but it's probably not the worst thing in the world having two competent goaltenders, or goalkeepers, I should say, on your team.
An interesting quote from Coach Curvelo that I found interesting as a part of that quote you're reading from. She has 1 year eligibility left, so I know that she will do everything she can to help our program win its first championship. Her passion for the game will only help improve the players around her. So it looks like she brought her in, not like I said, just I mean, well, let me kind of sidetrack back my words a little bit. She brought her in because of the influence she can have on the young players on the team.
That's huge, right? That's culture building, and that's exactly what Coach Curvelo wants to do. Not every coach can just come in and just win, win, win. It takes time, and you got to develop that culture. This is just one of the many signings that I'm sure she's made, and will, keep making to establish and maintain a winning culture and something that she wants to establish at Sam Houston being a winning program.
Another transfer that Sonia Curvelo brought in, Kaylee Dressback, day 5'9" transfer from Houston. She was a defensive center back and defensive midfielder, defensive center midfielder, excuse me, and a center back. So she can play. She can play those thirds of the field pretty well. It seems like. Curvelo is quoted saying from the article that when the signing was made official, she will provide. Stop me if this sounds familiar again, Luke. She will provide the leadership we need as an upperclassman. She covers ground and is a competitor, strong on the ball, and distributes consistently. She wants to compete for a championship and play in the NCAA tournament. She has the mindset Coach Curvelo saying this, look for in the players. So she's not just looking to see if you can again, it's the same consistent thing over and over again. She's not looking if you can produce on the field. She's looking if you can produce in the locker room and off the field.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And you look at a lot of these transfers, Colin. A lot of them are defensive minded play. I mean, of course, there's some in the attacking, positions, and going to be trying to make runs there towards other teams' defenders, but a lot of it's in the back end, right in the midfield and in your back line and the goalkeeper as well. But that's the emphasis that she's made in the transfer portal in recruiting. That's what she wants, and uh, I believe she played. She was a defender in her professional career. Am I right?
That I don't know actually. I probably should know that, but that I don't know.
Uh,
But I do.
Former Portuguese international, right?
Yeah, but it is pretty clear that she does really value defense. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I part of that I think is, um, especially where we come from. Sam Houston's not the team that is going to be playing with the ball, maybe as much as we'd like. It's going to be kind of a lower back line. We're not playing a high line, uh, probably more of a counter-attacking team. I would assume that's kind of what we're going to try to do, and uh, it starts from the backfield and getting that ball up as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think it's also about just being aggressive at the right time. If just they'll pass it around the back probably, and just try to find holes in that midfield against the other team that they can exploit, and then get their fast players out in the open, and probably not get them out on the wings. I mean, we saw the wing backs, not wing back, excuse me, the outside backs in Maya McCallum, who's a big loss this year, and Alessandra Maldonado. I mean, what they would do is that they would go up and down the field, and I think that'll provide extra support on the offense. So I just think we're still going to see a lot of revolution when it comes to the substitution. I still think we're going to see that. We're probably not going to see that as much per se this year, uh, because I mean there's a lot of players you can rely on. I mean, like I said the players before, but I also forgot to mention Kenzie Hill. You got sophomores coming back like Lennon Porter, Soleil Young, Niasaya Goodwin, uh, Ariana Carrington. I mean, you just look at all the. I just look at this roster right now on my phone. I just don't see a reason why they can win. They can get more wins than losses, like they haven't had been able to do as a program over the last 3 years.
That'd be a huge accomplishment. Sam Houston soccer, fifth place in the Conference USA preseason poll. We both think. I mean, there is some pretty good competition ahead of us. Liberty, of course, was picked first, almost unanimously, with Mexico State being picked second. These are some pretty good programs, but it kind of feels like a season where why couldn't we make some runs and maybe cracking that top three? Of course, you'll take whatever you can get to qualify for the tournament because that's what really matters. But um, you want to play well in the regular season, and it feels like this squad, this team can do it.
I don't know. I don't know what the qualifying um, metrics are for this go around. I don't know if it's top 7 or top 8. I mean, obviously with the addition of Kennesaw State, more teams. So are more teams going to be able to go to the tournament this year? Who knows? But I think I think it's fine if they want to rank a Sam Houston Soccer at fifth. That's fine. I was telling you this off air. I don't think it really matters at the end of the day where you finish in the regular season. Yes, you get a better seeding, and yes, of course, you face potentially a weaker opponents as you go on to try to get to the championship game. But at the end of the day, everyone starts with a clean slate once you're in the conference tournament. Everyone's 0-0. Just all you try to say to yourself, don't lose one. You're one and done. That's it. Don't lose one. And it's like a whole different season if you want to put it that way. Once you're in the conference tournament, and I think this Bearcat soccer team is going to be very dangerous if they do make it in the conference tournament, which I'm expecting them to.
Totally agree with you, Colin. And I think we have the front line to bag some more goals this year. That last year that was kind of an issue. Uh, a lot of times, just weren't scoring as many goals as we'd like, and of course, goals, they kind of come in bunches, but you feel like you have the leadership up front with Tiana Johnson and Landry Townsend to really push forward and score more this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, again, just having those returners is going to be valuable to how the because they know how to execute a bit better now when it comes to the planning. Um, I will still say though that the X factor this year, there's plenty of them that you could say they're going to be X factors, but I think Dana Hansen's going to be that X factor again this year because she's going to be the captain, I believe, of the squad once again, and or whoever's going to be the captain this year. But she's been in the Bearcat program soccer program for 4 year in her fourth year now, so this is her last year, but she's been there, done that. She's been under two different coaches, and she's stuck around, and she knows a lot of the players that are still there. She's helped a lot of them come up through this program, and it's gonna be her job now to see if they can finally reach that promised land, which is the Conference USA Championship and game, and hopefully win it.
I think one more to mention. Of course, Dana Hansen's going to be, very important to the success of this team. I think also Pam Murray.
Mm.
Pam Murray was really good for us last year. Again, a player with tons of experience, a little bit more offensively minded, I'd say, in Dana, but still some really good players that we have. Um, and it's great assets to have for Coach Curvelo, and you just kind of think year after year the squad's been building. This could be the year where you make a challenge. I really think last year could have been the same way, and we talked about it on Behind the Mic. It was just those last three games in the regular season. You can go look back. 0 goals scored in 3 games, running into the conference tournament. Of course, in that first game, you found a way to score some goals, but it kind of just felt like 2 draws and a loss at the end of the year. Could have easily been 2 wins and a draw, or two wins and a loss, right? So, um, of course, it's all about how uh, momentum goes throughout a season, but you just feel like the squad is there, and you feel like you have a good coach.
Before we get into the schedules, Luke, I gotta ask you, which of the transfers do you think is gonna have the biggest impact? I will say it's gonna be. I will say it's pretty tough to say the least because I don't know how because I don't know we don't know what how the depth chart's gonna look like, so we don't know how much time they're gonna see on the field. But I don't think Curvelo brings them in just to sit on the bench or not get a lot of playing time. But I think Gabrielle Gibson, this SFA transfer, is going to have a very big impact. If 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 Curvelo is going to see her as a uh, as a midfielder, especially if because the thing is she could be going up and down the field as well. So I mean, and she brings height as well, 5'10", so she could be very useful on the corners, which is where I think the Bearcats really need to try to do a better job at executing at this year, is on those set pieces, especially those corners.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's not every day you bring in a transfer from, your main rival, right? Well, not anymore, I guess, because they didn't move up with us. But
I was about to say.
um, it's not every day you see that, though. Yeah, I think the Souza addition at the goalkeeper position is very, very interesting because both are seniors, right? So and you feel pretty good with Savannah Hall, but it's just very interesting that she brought in another goalkeeper, and of course, depth. You don't want uh, all your eggs in one basket because if something goes wrong, knock on wood, you have a good backup right there. So I think that's very interesting. And I think when you mentioned Dressbeck, that's going to be huge as well in the back. So we'll see. I would say it's those two. Um, I'm not an expert at all. I probably won't see them play this year other than on TV. I probably won't see them in person. But looking forward to the season starting.
Well, I will be there at the season opener against SFA. And with that, let's dive straight into the scheduling. Some notable games that I pointed out that I written down on my little uh, typical composition notebook that we all love so much that we brought to us within school. The notable games I said were versus SFA, then at Houston, and at Rice. And that Rice game, I think, is going to be a kind of a telling point about how this team has improved because they drew against Rice last year at home at Pritchett Field 2-2, and I called that game on ESPN Plus. That was such a fun, great game. It's just unfortunately they gave up a few goals late, and they just couldn't find a way to get ahead again after that. Um, but I think I think starting the year off again with the win like they did last year against Prairie View A&M when they were down 2-0 against them, and then they scored four straight right after that. I think starting off the year by hopefully crushing SFA is going to be a great boost to begin a season that, in a way, they do have expectations.
Yeah, of course. And when you talk about the schedule, it's a very interesting type schedule. It's a lot of three games in a row at Pritchett, and then 3 games in a row, uh, somewhere else, right? For example, you get 3 games in a row against Rice, Southern, and New Mexico State, and then you go to Jacksonville State, Kennesaw, and you go to Louisiana Tech. All is that type of travel schedule, and every team has the same. But it'll just be interesting to see if you can carry any momentum from home to away. That's going to be the main issue this year, or the main uh, issue.
Who do you? I do wonder though. What do you think? Do you I don't know how to exactly say this, but do you think non-con's gonna still give us a good picture about how this team is gonna be, or are you more interested in seeing how they play against the conference foes? Because I mean, non-con's non-con, but conference is conference.
Yeah, Colin. It's kind of like when you look at Premier League. You have your league games, and you have uh, your cup games, your FA Cup. Non-league games, right? Of course, you're more interested in the conference tournament and the conference in conference games, but I think it will give a pretty good picture of kind of where you are. SFA traditionally has always been a pretty good team, and UH, huge school, just south of you, that'll give you a good indication of kind of where you are. And then you have a few winnable games, I think, in Houston Christian, Corpus Christi, UIW. I think that's 3, and then Lamar 4 games where you're more than capable of getting 4 straight wins, hell, maybe even 5, right? Including between SFA and Houston. So I think it's going to give a very good picture of kind of where this team is, and of course, um, you know, Coach Curvelo is going to be messing with the lineups more and more earlier on, and then she'll find her main squad later. When we get in the conference, but I think it's going to give a great picture to see kind of the potential of the team and where they are.
I mean, it'd be great if they went on and went 4 or 5 straight. That'd be awesome. They did win 3 straight at one point last year during the regular season, if I recall correctly. I'll just be happy if they win and or draw. I mean, as long as we don't lose, I'm fine with that. But draws in certain contexts are not fun. It's, for instance, if you're winning the whole game and then all of a sudden in the last few minutes the other team equalizes, that could be essentially drawn up as a loss if you wanted to. But you're
Draws are very interesting because it's something only in soccer that we have. There are times when you're watching a game. There's been a few over the years where Sam has been down and then they draw very late. They get a goal very late, and you're like, wow, like what a game! Like that was awesome. but when you're on the opposite end, you just feel like, man, that sucked.
That's what I mean. But you are correct. Curvelo is going to mess around with what with who she's going to put out there, and we saw a lot of that at the beginning of the year last year. And I think that's what non-con is going to serve again this year. I mean, I don't think Sam is going to be ranked by all means in the top 25 for NCAA soccer, women's soccer by any means. And I think Curvelo knows that herself, and I think the team knows that themselves, and that's fine. Whatever. You want to know how you could compete with the, how you make yourself recognizable? Win that Conference USA championship.
That's right, and there's a goal there, and she's talked about it. It is well publicized that Coach Chavella wants a championship here at Sam Houston, um, and I feel like you have the depth. I think you have the leadership. Uh, you have the support. I think, and Coach Chavella is a great coach. The stars are aligning there. Liberty's gonna be tough to beat. Mexico State's gonna be tough to topple, but I think we have a shot to get hot there and in the postseason tournament and make the NCAA's.
I couldn't agree more. And I mean, I don't really have a prediction on point, because I'm not really an expert on women's college soccer. But I will say, like I said at the beginning, I think they can make the conference tournament and be very dangerous. So
Yeah,
I'm just hoping that I'm 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 almost putting it in right now that they're gonna make the conference tournament and they're gonna potentially make noise. And I hope I don't end up on freezing cold takes because of that. That's all I'm saying. But with all the things we talked about for this podcast episode, Luke, I just can't see why. I just can't see why not. Why not? That's the question each team asks themselves. Like, hey, why not us?
yeah, I completely agree, Colin. Why not us? I think fifth in the preseason poll uh, might also give this team a little bit of an edge, saying, "Oh, you don't think we're going to finish better than last year? Watch us do something." Uh, I think this team can avoid. I mean, last year, kind of in the middle of the year, kind of took a few slumps and a few beatings, uh, and then finished rather, mediocre. I think this team has the capability to stay hot, get hot, and finish strong. That's what I'm looking for. You have senior leadership up and down the pitch. Um, on the bench, you have some huge transfers coming in. I just feel like this team can challenge for the first time that since I've been at Sam, but now since graduated, for the first time since I've been watching Sam Houston soccer, I feel like this team can really challenge the top of the table.
Yeah, I really don't have anything to add, and only to say that I'm looking forward to watching this group this year and seeing what Curvelo can do under her third year as the Sam Houston Bearcat women's soccer head coach. And she also has a really good staff around her too, with Oscar Mendoza and Alyssa Gregory. I mean, having those two has helped her out as well. I've talked to all three of them before. They're really nice when I talk to them, um, and they of course they really know about the game itself. So overall, I got nothing else to add, Luke. And just once again, I'm really excited for this year for Bearcat women's soccer. And I think if you are not doing anything, if you I highly encourage you going out one night and go see what this squad is all about and what Carvello is all about as well. I mean, she's intense. Like she really she's like she's basically like what Hooten was, just up and down, like so involved, and that's what I like seeing in a coach, just being someone that's so involved.
Yeah, yeah. Every year since she's been here, right? There's been improvement. Last year in conference, they were 3-3-2, um, 6-7-4. I guess overall, yeah, with ties. Yeah, 6-7-4 overall ties. You just feel like this team can climb into the win column. uh, win more games than lose games, and make a big impact.
Well, Luke, I think that's gonna do it for us. I'm gonna take my job back and do the outro right here. And hey, folks, and before we let you go, just we're gonna probably have another pod out pretty soon because tennis court updates as it nears completion. And did they possibly hear us say something about a certain part of the facility? We'll get to that in the next episode of the podcast. And football camp, by the time we release the next pod, will be over with. I'll give my thoughts on the scrimmage, that on the second inter squad scrimmage. I will be there for that one, and what just more football talk, and of course just talk all Bearcats, because that's what we're all about here on Sam Houston Sports Talk, all Sam Houston Bearcats. And of course, be sure you subscribe to the Sam Houston Sports Talk YouTube channel. We're at 76. Last time I checked, at the time of recording, at 9:35 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday, August 13th. We're just a bit over 3/4 of a way to 100 subs. Why not? Let's see if we can hit. Let's see if we're gonna hit 100 subs before football season starts. That'd be pretty freaking awesome. I could say. What do you think, Luke?
And Colin, we've been on Twitter a bunch. Twitter Spaces. Trump and Elon Musk were on the Twitter Space the other night, so why can't we be, right?
Yeah, why can't we? Why
We've
can't?
had a few. We've had a few Twitter Spaces that's worked out pretty well. So for those, I know we have a huge following there, a growing following on Twitter and social media. Hop on those spaces, ask questions. If you don't want to do that, listen, engage with us. Drop comments on the videos. That's what we want to see. That's how we're going to grow this channel and try to grow Sam Houston Sports Talk to that next level.
Absolutely, and I mean, the growth has been pretty unexpected, to say the least. At least by my standards. Like I've been blown away by the support we've been getting, and that's just gonna motivate us even more to keep on going further. That'll do it for Sam Houston Sports Talk Podcast, episode 10. I'm Collin. That's Luke Scott. Right over there. See you next time.